The goal of a negotiation isn't to get a yes, it's to hear a no and be completely fine with it. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the path to getting what you want is paved with the rejections you are currently trying so hard to avoid. You'll have a framework that makes these conversations feel less like a conflict and more like solving a puzzle. And you'll see how the polite, agreeable strategy you think is keeping the peace is actually the most confrontational approach of all. It's a confrontation with your own future. Most of us treat negotiation like a tug-of-war, a zero-sum game, where for me to get more, you have to get less. Your stomach tightens, your heart rate climbs, you're bracing for a fight, so you either come out swinging too hard or you fold early to escape the discomfort. This entire frame is wrong. It's a trap. A successful negotiation is a collaborative search for a hidden solution. You and the other person are on the same side of the table. The problem is on the other side. Imagine two chefs who both need the last lemon in the kitchen. The confrontational approach is to argue over who deserves it more. They might decide to cut it in half. Each gets 50%, a compromise. But a compromise is often just a lazy failure where both parties lose. The collaborative approach asks one question: why do you need the lemon? One chef needs the juice for a dressing. The other needs the zest for a cake. The moment they share their underlying interests, the conflict dissolves. A new solution appears where both get 100% of what they actually valued. The lemon was just the superficial position. The juice and the zest were the real interests. Most of what we argue over in life are lemons. We fight over salary numbers, prices, and titles. We rarely dig down to the underlying interests. The thing is, the other person often wants something that is cheap for you to give, but priceless for them to receive, and vice versa. Your job is to become a detective hunting for those trades. This reframes everything. You're not an adversary, you're a partner in discovery. But this only works if you can get the other person to see it that way too. What happens when they're the one who sees it as a fight and they come in ready for war? There's a way to disarm that, and it involves making them solve your problem for you. When someone hits you with a demand that feels aggressive or unreasonable, our instinct is to fight back with a counter demand. They say 10, you say 5. The tug-of-war begins. This is a losing game for anyone who dislikes conflict. Instead of pushing back, you pull them onto your side of the table with two simple kinds of questions. Questions that start with how and what. A former FBI hostage negotiator built his entire system around this. A client tells you, "We need this project done in 2 weeks for half your usual rate." Your instinct is to say, "That's impossible." That's a direct confrontation. It's a no. Instead, you lean in with curiosity. You ask, "Okay, that's a very tight timeline and budget. How am I supposed to do that?" Notice the phrasing. It's a genuine request for help. It invites them to solve your problem. It forces them to see the constraints from your perspective. Suddenly, you're looking at the puzzle together. They might say, "Well, we could simplify the scope, or we could provide our own internal resources to help." They start negotiating with themselves. A car dealer says, "This is the final price, take it or leave it." You respond, "This price is more than I budgeted for. What makes this the right price for this car today?" This forces them to justify their position with logic. It moves the conversation from a test of wills to a discussion of value. These are called calibrated questions. They are open-ended and shift the psychological burden to the other side. They feel soft. They are surgically precise. They turn your counterpart from an opponent into a consultant. But even the best questions have no power if you're terrified of the answer. Your ability to ask how depends entirely on what you've done before you ever walked into the room. Your real power in a negotiation comes from one place: your ability to walk away from the table and be genuinely okay with it. This is your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, or your BATNA. Most people have a vague idea of this, a weak alternative. If I don't get this raise, I'll just stay where I am. That's a recipe for desperation. A weak alternative makes you needy, and neediness kills deals. You need to transform your vague backup idea into a vivid, fully developed plan B. Before you ask for that raise, spend a month actually building your alternative. Update your resume, take 2 interviews with other companies, even if you don't plan to leave. Get a real offer. Suddenly, your walkaway plan isn't a fantasy. It's a concrete reality. You can walk into your boss's office with a calm confidence that cannot be faked. The conversation is no longer about begging for more money. It's about exploring if this role is still the best fit compared to your other excellent options. The fear of hearing no evaporates. A no simply means you execute your fantastic plan B. This is the source of true negotiating strength. It's the quiet confidence of someone who has options. You stop trying to force a yes and start discovering whether a yes is even the best outcome. It changes your body language, your tone of voice, everything. You are detached from the outcome, which paradoxically makes you far more likely to get the outcome you want. Yet, knowing your own options is only half the map. The other half involves figuring out the secret pressures that are driving the person across from you. And there are always secret pressures. Every person you negotiate with is playing a game with a set of hidden rules. They have a boss who is pressuring them, a budget that's already been approved, a quarterly target they are desperate to hit, a personal reputation on the line. They are a proxy for a system of constraints you can't see. Your task is to map out that system. The price might be a hard limit for them, but what else do they value? What are their other currencies? For a hiring manager, the salary might be locked in by a rigid company policy, but they might have enormous flexibility with other things: a signing bonus, extra vacation days, a budget for professional development and certifications, a guaranteed review in 6 months, a more flexible work-from-home schedule. These things might be nearly free for the company to give, but incredibly valuable to you. They are the hidden zest in the lemon. You uncover these by asking questions about their world. What does success for your team look like this year? What's the biggest challenge you're facing with this project? What happened with the last person in this role? You are listening for the problems behind their positions. Maybe the position has been open for 4 months and their boss is furious. Their real problem isn't saving $2,000 on your salary. Their real problem is the pain of having an empty seat. Your solution is speed and competence. You can frame your offer around that. I can start in 2 weeks and get this project back on track by the end of the month. You are now selling a solution to their specific painful problem. You're trading your flexibility and speed for their flexibility on other terms. This is the heart of collaborative negotiation, finding trades between currencies that each side values differently. But to make this work, you need them to trust you. And trust is built in a very counterintuitive way. By showing them you can read their mind. Before you make your case, you disarm them by voicing all their potential accusations against you. This is called an accusation audit. You start the conversation by saying the worst things they might be thinking. Let's say you're a freelancer asking a long-term client for a rate increase. You could start with, "You're probably going to think this is opportunistic. You might feel like I'm being unfair given how long we've worked together, and you're likely thinking, great, another rising cost I have to justify." You say it all calmly and without judgment. This feels terrifying. It feels like you're giving them ammunition. The opposite happens. The moment you voice their internal monologue, the tension in the room plummets. They feel seen. They feel understood. The negative thoughts they were holding lose their power because you've brought them into the light. It's a profound demonstration of empathy. It signals that you see the situation from their perspective. It makes you look less like a threat and more like a reasonable, self-aware partner. After you've cleared the air with an accusation audit, you can move to your proposal. And after you state your number or ask your calibrated question, you do the single hardest thing in any negotiation. You go silent. You shut up. The silence will feel excruciating. You'll want to fill it, to clarify, to soften your stance. Don't. Let the silence do the work. It creates a vacuum. It signals that you've said what you needed to say, and the next move is theirs. It gives them time to think. More often than not, they will be the one to break the silence. And when they do, they will often move closer to your position just to escape the discomfort of that quiet. Silence is a form of pressure that feels entirely passive. Combined, the accusation audit and strategic silence build a bridge of trust and then create the space for the other person to walk across it. All these pieces, the reframing, the questions, the alternatives, the empathy, they all come together to serve one overarching purpose. The ultimate goal of a non-confrontational negotiation is to craft a deal that is so good for the other party they feel like they won by giving you exactly what you wanted. You're not trying to take the biggest slice of the pie. You're trying to work with them to discover how to bake a much bigger pie. When you ask how questions, you're inviting them to help you find more flour. When you map their world, you're looking for ingredients they have in abundance that you desperately need. When you build your walkaway plan, you're guaranteeing you won't be desperate enough to steal a slice of their pie. And when you use an accusation audit, you're showing them you're a trustworthy partner in the kitchen. This changes the entire dynamic from a fight over scarcity to a creative partnership focused on abundance. The confrontation vanishes because you are no longer adversaries. You are co-creators. You are looking for that elegant solution, the one where they get the juice and you get the zest. So the next time you feel that knot in your stomach before a big conversation, remember the goal is not to win an argument. It's to solve a puzzle. Stop asking, "What can I get from them?" and start asking, "What's the hidden deal here that makes both of us walk away feeling respected and successful?" That elegant answer is almost always there, waiting in the silence after you ask the right question. And this principle of collaborative discovery goes far beyond negotiation. It explains why the most influential leaders rarely need to persuade anyone. They simply define a problem so clearly that their desired solution becomes the only logical next step for everyone involved, which is an entirely different way of shaping the